agency that will police everybody's speech in this country. And it goes downhill from there, including having a generous public funding subsidy for political campaigns. And of course, the American people hate the idea of their money being used to subsidize balloons and button stickers and attack ads. Those hearings will begin to unfold tomorrow. Senator Blunt and all of the Republicans on the Rules Committee will be there full force to discuss the aspects of this, not the least of which is that it would produce total chaos in the 22 elections. They simply could not be conducted under the federally prescribed rules that the Democrats have in mind for this legislation. Yeah, well, with regard to the bill that is going to be up in the House, that the President, I gather, supports, I joined Joe Manchin in opposing that bill. With regard to these acts of violence, they are absolutely horrendous. Let me focus for a minute on the shootings in Georgia. As the husband for almost 3 decades of an Asian American woman, I have noticed, and we have experienced over the years, racial prejudice against Asian Americans. It certainly rose to the fore for everyone else when we saw these shootings. These despicable acts of violence should need to be condemned for what they are, but the legislative solutions have been perplexing, and as I said, I share Joe Manchin's opposition to the version that passed in the House.
On the Senate floor, you argue the filibuster is not rooted in racism. Historians differ on this. Are you concerned about the perception? If it is used against advancing voting rights, certainly the public perception is that Republicans are going to use this tool to make it harder for black people to vote.
Yeah, actually, historians do not agree. It has no racial history at all, none. So there's no dispute among historians about that. I make no apologies for opposing this bill. You've heard Senator Blunt outline the various flaws involved in it. This is all about a power grab. If it were related to civil rights, why were the Democrats using the tool last year and the year before that and the last 6 years? Why is it all of a sudden a civil rights issue when it wasn't for them as recently as last year? Honestly, with all due respect, that is nonsense. This is a power grab. It's all about trying to take over the American election system. It has all kinds of flaws, and under Senator Blunt's leadership, we're going to begin to point them out in great detail starting tomorrow in the Rules Committee.
Leader McConnell, do you have any concerns about whether Eric Greitens is the caliber of candidate that should be representing the Republican Party in the Senate?
Well, I think the voters of Missouri are going to decide who the nominee is next year. And in the meantime, my view is it's up to the people of Missouri to decide who the candidates are going to be.
You think he's electable?
On guns, there have been a number of possible legislative solutions, whether it was expanding background checks, red flag laws, limits on magazine capacity. Are any of those things you think your conference might support, that you might support? Is there a legislative role in addressing the guns part of this specifically?
I'm certainly open to the discussion. We were in this place August of 2019 when we had another series of incidences. The then president was wrestling with whether or not he could support something. What I'm not attracted to is something that doesn't work. And there have been deep-seated philosophical differences between Republicans and Democrats about how to deal with gun violence. One thing we do know for sure is that these shooters are invariably mentally incapacitated. Mentally incapacitated. This is a vexing problem that is extremely hard to identify in advance. So we will see what the majority leader wants to put on the floor and see what it looks like and have a full, robust discussion.